everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some of the more Manatraders Series, as well as some more with the blue-red Prowess deck that we played the other day in a replay for the League. As a friendly reminder, if you like modern content, especially the lightning bolt-based variety, be it Prowess, be it Burn, be it Jun, be it Gruul, with a little bit of Death Shadow, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative modern channel on YouTube. So, this is a deck that I wanted to revisit. I was kind of left, I don't want to say underwhelmed, but underdecided, maybe. Undecided with this particular list. This is basically mono red Prowess, splashing for Stormwing Entity and some sideboard cards. Stormwing Entity is one of the new cards from M21. It is a 5-mana 3/3 Prowess creature, but if you happen to have played a spell that turn, or instant or sorcery more specifically, it costs 2 and a blue less, so therefore it effectively becomes 1 and a blue. In a format like Modern, where you have a lot of free spells, things like Manamorphose, or Phyrexian spells like Surgical Extraction, Gut Shot, and Mutagenic Growth, you can often play this on turn 2 or turn 3. Comes down as a 3/3 flyer for 2 mana that scries 2, which is a pretty good value overall. This kind of goes in the spot where some lists play things like Kiln Fiend, some lists play things like Abbot of Carol Keep. So beyond that, you are playing a mono red deck with that exception and playing a little bit more free spells than the deck plays. You're playing the usual suspects: Gut Shot, Crash Through, Lava Dart, Lightning Bolt. No lava spikes here, but plenty of ways to interact with creatures. Manamorphose and lay up the stage to continue to cycling through your deck, and then finally at the top end, a couple copies of Bedlam Reveler to kind of close out the game, in addition to your Monastery Swiftspears and Soulscar Mages. This is obviously a deck that's very dependent on having a creature early on and kind of closing out the game from there, but does tend to see a lot of cards in its deck. Sideboard, a couple copies of Aether Gust. This is still quite nice in a lot of matchups against the Gruul decks, against any other red mirrors, whether it be Burn, whether it be Prowess. A couple copies of Mystical Dispute, pretty nice in this kind of still snow-heavy meta. This is, even though this will come out probably middle of the week, maybe after the bans have come down, this particular video is being recorded on Saturday while the snow decks might still be a thing. 2 copies of Surgical Extraction, because that's your graveyard interaction for things like Dredge, Waste Combat Uro, and such. So whether you really want to run the full 4 copies of Surgical Extraction is kind of debatable, but in some matchups, Gut Shot's just terrible, so Surgical Extraction is a little bit better. Assault Strobe, basically a cheaper version of Temur Battle Rage, except it doesn't grant Trample. 2 copies of Abrade, because you need shatter effects to deal with things like Chalice the Void, while also still having answers to other creatures. 1 of Blood Moon, this might be maybe a 2 or 3 of in some of the other mono red lists, but you are playing red spells and you don't want to completely cut yourself off of red mana, as you are not running any, or blue mana most of the time, as you are not running any actual islands in this list. So your only way to cast things under a Blood Moon that are blue spells would be Manamorphose. Not the end of the world, but you know, that's kind of why that's only a 1 of. 2 copies of Kozilek's Return, kind of nice because it usually pretty much doesn't kill any of your own creatures, while it can sweep, you know, the tribal decks, goblins, humans, etc. Maybe even catch merfolk if they don't have more than 1 lord. 2 copies of Dragon's Claw for the red mirrors. This is blue-red Prowess. Once again, we played it in a league before. We went 3 and 2, really 3 and 1, with me just kind of prematurely scooping to Smallpox, because Pox is just a difficult matchup for any type of deck like this, and I was just not interested in playing through that. So let's see how this does in some matches in the July Manatraders Series. We're back for match number 1. Now this is a hand, right? Double Surgical Extraction, Monastery Swiftspear. I'm feeling like the Izzet Phoenix days with this hand. I guess we keep this hand, but man, this is a bad hand. Keep it primarily just because it has Swiftspear and some spells. I guess one nice thing is it can force a shuffle on certain things. Like if they play Snoop here, we can just bolt it and surgical it. Just while War Marshal. Got a hard time fighting through all these gobos. Yeah, wait till they draw a step. Wait till they're upkeep when they put the trigger on the stack here. Gotta do what you gotta do, friendo. I apologize. This is the way we bolt the face, bolt the face, bolt the face. This is the way we bolt the face. And our goblin stays alive now. Alright, so they have I don't think there's anything too special going on here. One copy of combo here. Harbingers, ringleaders, Snoop Doggy Dog. Awkward. Weird time to bring in Snoop Doggy Dog over there, but you know. Okay. give our creatures haste, so no reason to play Soulscar Mage quite yet. Obviously, if they just happen to stumble across the combo, then they get us. Not much we can do about it right now. Kept an awkward hand, kind of got deservedly just as equally an awkward draw for it. Okay, shuffle. Do an Ether Vial. Okay, Krenko. That's that's a problem. So I could kill Snoop. And then we still have to deal with Krenko. Lots and lots of lands, eh? So now they're drawing a Krenko. Interesting. Really looking for some more spells. Guess we'll put them in bolt range. Okay. I think it was a premature concession, but I'm not going to complain. So we definitely want the Abrades. Probably want Ether Gusts and Kozilek's Returns. So surgical extractions can get right on out of there. Eugenic growth kind of questionable here. Maybe one Bedlam Reveler because they might bring in some type of graveyard heat potentially. One Lutz. Do I actually want Ether Gusts? the only Tarfire they had? They had 2 Sling Gangs and 1 Goblin War Chief, 1 Goblin Crater Maker. Hayden isn't the most exciting, but I think it's fine. Mainly because of Lutz here. Lots and lots of fun, eh? Alright, Storming Entity is an interesting one. But we are starting to draw too many of them. Terrifier, sure. You kept a 1 lander. That's interesting. So if I were to have found an Abrade, you would be a very sad puppy. Alright. That and Storming Entity are pretty good. So do I willingly make myself cold to the combo for a turn just to be able to play out a Storming Entity? I think the answer is yes. Don't think... Oh, put my violin like a Mog War Marshal here. They have the combo, we're dead. I guess I'm okay with that. Good with both of those cards. Do you Violin the Snoop? You have Snoop? Alright. Okay. Show me Kiki. Is it in your hand? Alright, that's game. Guess I shouldn't have taken down the shields for the turn, but... It was a risk. I'm finding it more and more often, especially when I have the ability to already kind of advance a board state, that I don't need to do things like that. I did something similar with Devoted Druid combo and I think the Goblins with... Yeah. Smoked. Being on. Alright, so this allows us to advance our game plan. Go ahead and gut shot them. And do the scrying thing. Doesn't seem to be. I'm willing to play the crash throughs, but I don't want the Swiss spear right now. Okay. Okay, do we find a mana source here? We do. So I think we just go ahead and attack with these guys. And then set up for lethal next turn. Did we have lethal this turn? I don't think so. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Lutz, but I don't think it's what we're particularly looking for here. Alright, and our opponent concedes. Because I think they recognized just one spell was going to be lethal here. So that's certainly a set of spells. So 1-0 so far with this deck in the Manatraders Challenge. Back 4, match number 2 with this deck. And seems reasonable enough, I suppose. Unfortunately, we're on the draw, but you know, we have a 1-drop, have a cantrip, we have a little bit of interaction. So, hopefully this hand will be sufficient for our game plan. It's not looking to 6. Okay. I am confuzzled. Merfolk, maybe? I'm more curious as to what's going on over there than anything else. Okay. So, blue-green elementals? Or is this like eternal? Seen. All right. Interesting. So noble hire coming in. It's 2/2 kitty cat. Okay, so they still have Ewit and one unknown in hand. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a prowess style turn. Curious if they block it all this turn. So 5, 6, yeah, that's just lethal. Alright, and our phone scoops. Interesting stuff. I think the Ether Gusts are necessarily worth it. Mystical Dispute might be. Braids are probably pretty reasonable. Cosmic Return kills most of their stuff, but I don't know how many removal spells we actually want, and I think 2 surgicals are fairly reasonable. Mutagenic Growth isn't particularly relevant here, and once again shave down a Bedlam Reveler because they do have quite a bit of counter magic they'll probably have access to here. You have Spell Pierces and Cryptics in the main. You could easily have something like So interestingly, they have a Hallowed Fountain in the main, which is probably for a sideboard card of some kind. Hand just feels too clunky. This hand's great because it has no lands. What am I more interested in here? Lava Dart or Lightning Bolt? Probably Lava Dart. Not the best of hands, but Dart at least allows us to kill Noble Hierarch without feeling too bad about things. Okie dokie. Artichoke. Not particularly interested in losing a mountain here. This card, the second card is turn grade 2/2. Makes sense to attack here. Third Swiss Spear is quite nice here. Sure. Glad we didn't go all in this turn. Should have played my mountain, actually. It was a bit of a mistake. Prison Reef. Trigger. That could be potentially holding up Spell Pierce here. Path XL. Is they gotta play around Mystical Dispute now. Before, double weather the storm mainly is pretty rough. Don't need to cast anything pre-combat. Koto. Sure. Alright. Do you have another path to exile? You do not. Alright. Nice. 2-0 with this blue-red Prowess deck. We're back for match number 3 with Mono Red splashing Stormwind Prowess. I mean, it's a hand. It's got magical cards. It has multiple ways to play a turn 2 or whatever Stormwind entity, and we have interaction for creatures. So, as much as I'm loath to keep a one-lander, I do think this hand is fine. Alright, so this is the way we play our threat, play our threat, play our threat. This is the way we play our threat against Judge Cruel in the morning. Cast with Spectacle. Land, please. Okay, there is a land. Turn. It's a blood braid. It's a blood braid. You're an average. Is this lethal? 3, 6, 8, 10. 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Not quite lethal, so what we're going to do is top. Here comes Glorybringer, here comes Glorybringer, right down Glorybringer Lane. Nice. Nice to get the win on the draw. Yeah, on the draw. Nice. Ether Gust seems relevant. Surgical extractions can probably safely come out. Does anything else make sense? Kozilek's Return. Maybe. Assault Probe, maybe. A Braid, maybe. No. We have a lot of chump blockers and such. Maybe I'm supposed to bring in a Kozilek's Return. It's kind of tough, because, like, certain cards are good against certain parts of their draw, other parts are not. Don't want to bring in too many blue cards, because... yeah, hand has a bunch of magical cards. Does not have a way to kill turn 1 Dork, which could be a problem. But most of the time they're keeping... I was like, okay. Wow, they're keeping an Arbor Elf hand. And we draw the gut shot. Nice. Okay. Okie dokie. And what you got? Alright, 3-0. This deck is looking a lot more impressive than it did in our initial foray with the deck. So, one more match at least. We're back for match number 4. This hand's good enough, I suppose, on the draw. We've got a threat, we've got some interaction, we've got some dig, we've got a Tron deck. Remains to be seen which Tron deck it is exactly. Which Tron deck is it? So Chalice would be backbreaking here. I still don't know which version of Tron it is. Tron. Ugh. Wow, Joe. What it is you good for? It's Tron. Tron, Tron. Tron, Tron. Tron. Tron, 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 Tron. Not quite a turn 2 kill, but still pretty good. Still could be either deck. Okay, this is Eldrazi's Ron. Might be hard to kill from here, though, ironically. Take some information with us on the way out here. Alright, we're basically dead next turn. Gotcha. Cards and chalices and dismembers and blast zones and mind stones and fun stuff. Forgot how much fun playing with surgical can be in terms of like just pure knowledge here. Surgical Extraction's going to come out. Raids can come in. Bloodman can come in. Bring Assault Strobe over. A couple copies of I'd like to play first. Is this hand good enough because it has Bloodman? Sure. Really want to find a third land. Of course, we're going to get Thought-Knot Seared because. Because turn 2 Thoughtseize with a 4/4 attached with no damage is good, right? Some things in life just aren't okay, and this is kind of one of them. Bedlam Reveler here. Chalice on one? Sure, because why not? Alright. Guess we were bound to lose one here eventually, so. Alright. At least one more match with Blue-Red Prowess. We're back with match number 5 with Blue-Red Prowess here. Looks like our opponent has a companion. They have a Yorion. Alright, this hand's pretty reasonable against most Yorion strategies. As long as they can't kill the first idiot, we should be good. Doesn't look like they're killing it this turn. Looking for some type of kind of awkward that I did blue there instead of red. See if they fetch main phase. Nope, they're just going to have the Kotal main. Which is annoying. If I would have gone red-red, we could have hit Lutz, which I think would have been a lot better last turn. What kind of hand did they keep? Apparently they're on a wreck build. Yeah, this just isn't okay. You shouldn't be able to play Simic cards and then freaking Path to Exile. One, two, three, four. Yeah, Astrolabe's just gotta go, or hopefully by the time you see this video, it's already gone. This is probably going to get Archmage Charmed, but we gotta cast it. Guess we should have cast Gut Shot in response here. You have maybe a Kotal. Wow. need another land, because, you know, we need more of those. Alright, so Bant Snow. Surgical extractions are pretty reasonable here. School disputes are pretty reasonable. Ether gusts are okay. Blood Moon's not particularly relevant against them. Eugenic Growth's not particularly relevant against them. Maybe shave a Bedlam Reveler, because they might bring in some type of graveyard hate. And then... is it crazy that the cut might actually be bolts? Guess I'd like to be on the play. With their 80 card Yorion pile. One Astrolabe. You know, for an 80 card deck, they have that Astrolabe pretty consistently. What? Growth Spiral. Interesting. How about I hit my note button? The answer to Stormwing Entity. And for some spells. As awesome as that card is, I don't think we want a... Ether Gust. It's just too situational right now. Like, they just get to play such a free roll greedy mana base, and it's just so dumb. Guess I could potentially have fizzled that. Such a terrible yet possibly useful card if they're like trying to cast an Uro or something to stabilize. Don't think that stabilizes. Still don't think Assault Strobe is a card against a deck with a bunch of Path to Exiles, so... This hand's a little awkward. Do we keep it though? I guess we try it. I mean, double Storming Entity seems decent with the Manamorphose in hand. I'm trying to hold up Path to Exile here. screwed off our blue mana, so go ahead and take the damage here. Metamorphose. You have a counterspell, you have a counterspell. Red, Storming Entity. Scry 2. Bottom that, top that. I presume we're going to get hit by a Path to Exile here. Nothing. Okay. Okay. Sure. Card I'm also kind of worried about against Incinerator, but sure, got an Astrolabe. And another Astrolabe. Yep, there's the path they were representing on turn 1. Yeah, sure. Trigger. I love blue decks, I love blue decks, I'll be glad when they get banned into the ground. Sure. Only to get Ice Fang, right? Paying costs. Archmage's Charm. So annoying. Alright, moving on. Always a pleasure, band control. Always a pleasure. Be a pleasure to see a band on Monday. Alright. Be back with the wrap-up. Alright, we're back for the wrap-up with the Manatraders Series with a couple of, well, basically a league's worth of matches with blue-red prowess. You know, obviously this video might be a little bit outdated by the time it gets out there with that snow league being, or snow deck being banned perhaps into the ground. But I think the rest of the matches are pretty good examples. Like, while Stormwing Entity is a little bit awkward with the mana, I do really like the idea of another threat that can go over the top a little bit. I do wonder, even if you don't want like a 16 threat like 4 Swift Spear, 4 Soulscar Mage, 4 Abbot, 4 Stormwing Entity, or some combination of threats thereof, like even get rid of Bedlam Reveler. I've really been impressed by Stormwing Entity. I mean, obviously there's some awkwardness to it. Much like Chandra's Incinerator, it does require some setup. And, the decks have a lot of the same natural enemies. The snow control decks, the Eldrazi Tron decks with Chalice on 1. These are the kind of decks that made life for Burn and Prowess kind of difficult the last couple of months. And I think they have a lot of the same overlap as to what their rough matchups are. I feel a lot better about Stormwing Entity in the deck after that set of matches than I did with the first with the actual league that we played with the deck. The deck's very powerful, very strong, very consistent in my opinion. And I really kind of like the spread of the free spells is kind of whatever. Basically playing 10 free spells between your main and sideboard. It's very scary, but the deck can do an absurd amount of damage in some spots, and I think that's what Prowess should be capable of. I think it has enough to differentiate it from Burn to be a reason to play the deck, and I think the blue splash adds some nice cards to it. So, it's frustrating to lose to Snow, and I do apologize for being, a little bit vocal there, but that is a deck that, when I played it for Space Marine and such, it was cute, it was nice. But I think these lists have gotten more refined and such. It's really frustrating to sit there and watch Island Forest cast. Oh, tap Path to Exile. Wait, what? Like, you don't know what's coming out of that Astrolabe. Is it a Fatal Push? Is it a Path to Exile? Is it a Lightning Helix from a bunch of Teamer lands? It's just... the mana fixing is too stupid. Like, it really has to go. Uro's obnoxious, but, like... I could see Uro sticking around if you ban like Mystic Sanctuary and Astrolabe. It's kind of the talk of what cards need banned. I think I might do a small video on that later tonight, as I'm doing this on a Saturday night. Might do a short spiel on what decks could potentially, or what cards could potentially be banned. It's whatever. But yeah. I feel a lot more confident about this deck after having played it, and a lot more interested in exploring it a little bit further, especially if there's interest in the first couple of videos having been played. This is ultimately here trying to create content that people are interested in, and so see if people like the Blue-Red Prowess deck or not. Anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus.